this thing shot up into my ear.
What was it?
Fabric supplies, right? And it was like...
Down.
Coronation Street airs Aidan's death aftermath. And 9 more big soap moments you have to see this week. 1. Coronation Street, Aidan's suicide devastates the Connors, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. and Friday at 7:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. on ITV. Corrie will be airing one of the most heartbreaking storylines in its history this week, as Aidan tragically takes his own life. The Connor family and the wider Weatherfield community are all left devastated as Aidan is found dead at his flat in an emotional hour-long episode on Wednesday. 2. Emmerdale, Charity considers exposing Di Bales's guilt, Tuesday at 7 p.m. on ITV. Charity reaches breaking point after she receives a police warning for making repeated visits to Di Bales's home. She also has to deal with a frightening encounter with Bales himself, when he takes her by surprise outside the Woolpack one morning and warns her to leave him alone. 3. Hollyoaks, Max back. Thursday at 7 p.m. on E4, Friday at 6:30 p.m. on Channel 4. Hollyoaks airs a return appearance from the villainous Mac Nightingale when his son James decides to pay him a visit. After a troubled time at home thanks to Kyle and Sami's secret scheming, James surprisingly finds himself at his father's bedside. Hollyoaks fans know that Mac has been receiving expert care since being diagnosed with locked-in syndrome last year. How will James feel when he comes face to face with his abusive dad again? 4. EastEnders, Phil vs Max, Friday at 8 p.m. on BBC One. Phil is clearly on a roll after figuring out all of Max's secrets last week, but it seems that he's just getting started when it comes to their feud. Over the next few days, we'll see the Albert Square Hardman drag Robbie into his games when Robbie gets a trial at the car lot. Opportunistic Phil realizes that Robbie's presence there could prove very useful, and towards the end of the week, Robbie does some sneaky snooping around Max's workplace on his behalf. Things later get even worse for Max when he visits the car lot and finds Phil at his desk, clutching some paperwork. What is Phil up to now, and should Max be worried? 5. Neighbors, Kennedy Chaos in the Bush, Thursday and Friday at 1:45 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. on Channel 5. Neighbors can't resist a Lost in the Bush storyline every now and again. This time, it's Susan and Carl who find themselves at the center of big trouble in the outback when an Erinsborough high school trip goes horribly wrong. It all kicks off when a bullying incident leads to Susan and Kershaw getting separated from the others on the trip, which culminates in them losing their sense of direction and getting lost. 6. Coronation Street, David tells Shona everything, Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. on ITV. Corrie's hour-long episode on Wednesday ends with hope for David's future, as he realizes that it's finally time to confide in someone about his rape ordeal. Although he was never close to Aidan, a struggling David is deeply affected by news of his death, knowing that he's wrestled with suicidal thoughts of his own recently. Accepting that he needs to make a change, David tells his ex-girlfriend Shona about being raped by Josh and how it's affected him over the past few weeks. David feels like a weight has been lifted from his shoulders as Shona shows unconditional love and support. Is this the start of David turning his life around again? 7. Emmerdale, Brenda faces a massive decision, Thursday at 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. on ITV. Bob and Brenda's recent issues will come to a head on the day of their wedding this Thursday. Just when it looked like the couple were getting back to normal, there's a spanner thrown in the works when Arthur mischievously locks Bob in the pirate ship on the eve of the wedding. Arthur's childish sabotage leads to Brenda getting worried when she turns up at the church the next morning and finds that her groom is nowhere to be seen. Although Bob is later freed by Laurel and Doug, will he be too late to make it to the wedding? Either way, A disappointed Brenda will definitely have to decide whether she can forgive Bob for this. 8. Hollyoaks, Sweet and Harry Under Pressure, Tuesday at 7 p.m. on E4, Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. on Channel 4. Is there any hope left for Starry now that their reunion has run into trouble already? That's the big question this week, as even Harry starts to lose hope for their future. In the wake of Sweet's recent rejections, Harry speaks to James and comes to the conclusion that he and Sweet are better off separated. Later on, Sweet tasks Harry to make a huge decision. Will this be a final nail in the coffin, or a ray of hope for their future? 9. EastEnders, The Battle for Martin, Friday at 8 p.m. on BBC One. It's a worrying time for Stacey on Friday, as she realizes that she's got competition on her hands if she wants to win back her estranged husband Martin. As some of the Walford residents gather for Kathy's surprise birthday party at the Vic, Stacey can't help noticing how Sonia has got herself all glammed up for the occasion. The penny drops for Stacey as she realizes that Sonia wants Martin back, leading to a row between the two ladies at the party. How will Martin feel about having two women fighting over him?